Welcome. I'm Rebecca Melanson, an Extension Plant Pathologist with the Mississippi State University Extension Service and the State IPM Coordinator for Mississippi, as well as the Project Director for the USDA NIFA Crop Protection and Pest Management Extension Implementation Program project titled Mississippi State University Extension IPM Implementation Program 2021 to 2024. In this presentation, and on behalf of the Extension Implementation Program team, I will provide an overview of the objectives and accomplishments of the various priority areas addressed by the Extension Implementation Program Award. The Extension Implementation Program for Mississippi addressed three primary priority areas: IPM implementation in agronomic crops, IPM implementation in communities, and IPM implementation in specialty crops, and two secondary priority areas, IPM implementation in public health and IPM support for pest diagnostic facilities, with funding support provided for each of these areas as well as for overall IPM coordination. While the objectives for each priority area vary slightly, the program objectives as they pertain to the overall project can be summarized into four main objectives. These are to provide technical assistance and troubleshooting to stakeholders, to develop new and maintain and update existing educational IPM resources for target pests, key crops, and production sites that includes traditional and modern educational resources that target multiple methods of information delivery. These traditional resources include in-print publications, and modern resources include blogs, websites, social media, and videos. To develop and deliver educational programs to stakeholders, and to conduct surveys, trials, and demonstrations to identify target pests, assess target pest populations or occurrences in Mississippi and develop baseline data, and to test or demonstrate experimental or recommended IPM methods on target pests. By conducting activities in support of each of these objectives, we expected to achieve several outcomes. First, we expected stakeholders of the various priority areas would receive relevant information in a timelier manner and be able to more quickly use that information to make appropriate decisions on pest management, gain knowledge for improved identification of pests and determination of the appropriate timing to implement various IPM practices, and gain improved understanding and decision-making skills to implement a broader range of the available management options for target pests into pest management programs. Second, we expected project collaborators would generate data and gain knowledge that would help them develop and maintain effective IPM programs for each priority area, and generate data on the effectiveness of new or currently recommended IPM methods on target pests. And last, we expected overall that the objectives would result in increased yields, profits, and quality of life, combined with reduced pesticide use and reduced adverse environmental impacts. Let's now look at each of the Extension Implementation Program priority areas more in depth. The MSU Extension IPM and Agronomic Crops Program team provides expertise and training throughout the year to producers, consultants, county agents, and industry personnel to help protect and preserve agronomic crop yields by providing timely information. The main goal of the MSU Extension IPM and Agronomic Crops Program team is to provide timely, non-biased, multidisciplinary information to help minimize loss from pests through training and assistance to stakeholders via site visits, extension publications, hotlines, popular press articles, blogs, newsletters, phone calls, county meetings, short courses, field days, and more recently, podcasts. The team also focuses on offering regional and national programs to exchange ideas with stakeholders and colleagues from other areas. The objectives of the MSU Extension IPM and Agronomic Crops Program team during the project were to provide technical assistance and troubleshooting to stakeholders, conduct product evaluation and demonstration trials to support extension recommendations and publications, develop and disseminate information and resources through traditional and modern methods, and develop and deliver formal and informal stakeholder trainings on target pests of agronomic crops. During the project period, the IPM Implementation and Agronomic Crops team included plant pathologist Tom Allen and Alan Hinn, entomologist Angus Ketchot, Whitney Crow, Jeff Gore, and Tyler Tolles, and cotton specialist Brian Paralisi. This team was led by Angus Ketchot and Whitney Crow. The IPM Implementation and Agronomic Crops team annually provided technical assistance and troubleshooting to over 3,000 stakeholders, conducted over 150 demonstration, product efficacy, and variety trials, published numerous extension educational resources and reports on insect and fungicide efficacy and variety trials, and delivered numerous educational programs and presentations throughout Mississippi. Two of the more modern educational resources are the Mississippi Crop Situation podcast and the Mississippi Crop Situation blog. IPM Implementation and Agronomic Crops team members contribute to both resources, annually producing on average between 40 and 50 episodes and 10 or more articles, respectively. Another valued resource to which IPM Implementation and Agronomic Crops team members contribute is the Insect Control Guide for Agronomic Crops, which is updated annually. This guide is typically over 100 pages in length and provides current guidelines for insect management in several row crops, including corn, cotton, grain sorghum, rice, soybean, peanut, and wheat. One of the highlights of the MSU Extension IPM and Agronomic Crops program team is the annual row crop short course. This 3-day educational event includes presentations on various topics spanning multiple disciplines and annually reaches between 650 to 750 attendees. The short course draws stakeholders from numerous states and has an estimated impact of $40 million for row crop producers. The MSU Community IPM Extension Program provides training, information, and services addressing insect and disease pests in urban household and horticulture settings, including homes, turf, ornamentals, vegetables, fruits, and nuts. The goal of the MSU Community IPM Extension Program through the IPM Implementation and Communities Priority Area is to make effective IPM-based pest management recommendations readily available to stakeholders. The objectives of the MSU Community IPM Extension Program team during the project period were to provide technical assistance and troubleshooting to stakeholders, provide support and training for the Mississippi Master Gardener Program, develop and disseminate educational resources on identification and integrated pest management methods of target pests, and to develop and deliver formal and informal stakeholder trainings. During the project period, the IPM Implementation and Communities team included MSU Extension Plant Diagnostic Laboratory Diagnostician Clarissa Valvalian, plant pathologist Alan Hinn and Rebecca Melanson, and entomologist Blake Layton. This team was led by Blake Layton. The IPM Implementation and Communities team annually provided technical assistance and troubleshooting to approximately 2,300 stakeholders, developed and delivered presentations and programs for the Master Gardener Program and to various county Master Gardener groups, published numerous extension educational resources, and delivered numerous educational programs and presentations throughout Mississippi. One of the new programs that developed from this priority area was Disease Management in Home Vegetable Gardens, which targeted the home gardener and Master Gardener audience. This 2-hour program was designed with the goal of audience participation in mind and was delivered in 8 counties throughout Mississippi during the project period. Attendees received printed materials to help support and reinforce the topics discussed, as well as tools to encourage implementation of learned IPM methods in their own gardens. The IPM Implementation and Communities team has been very prolific in the production of educational resources for IPM implementation and community stakeholders. One of the publication highlights is the Bug's Eye View newsletter, produced by Dr. Blake Layton. Each year, approximately 15 issues of the newsletter were sent via email to approximately 3,400 subscribers, posted to the MSU Extension website, and shared on the Bug's Eye View Facebook group, which had over 1,600 members. Numerous other publications on insect identification and management topics, including household, vegetable, rose, and ornamental insect pests, were also produced by the MSU Extension Service. MSU Extension publications on disease identification and management topics, including on turfgrass, pecans, vegetables, and fruits, were also produced. A new publication format, educational postcards, a couple of examples, which are shown here, were also developed for several diseases and distributed to each county extension office for use and distribution in their counties. Another initiative that was supported by the IPM Implementation and Communities Priority Area, jointly with the IPM Implementation and Specialty Crops Priority Area, was to provide toolkits to each county in Mississippi to better equip the agriculture agents in those counties with the tools necessary to investigate insect and disease issues and to properly collect, prepare, and ship samples for diagnosis when necessary. Additionally, funding support from the Mississippi State University Extension IPM Implementation Program 2021 to 2024 project helped to provide each county with a digital frame and USB drive loaded with presentations developed by MSU Community IPM Extension Program and MSU Specialty Crop IPM Extension Program team members on various pests and their management. These frames allowed for continuous dissemination of IPM information within county offices in a unique way, and even when the county agent was not present. Mississippi has a small but vibrant commercial horticulture industry that includes greenhouse and nursery-grown ornamentals, as well as fruits, pecans, and vegetables produced in various sites. The overall goal of the Specialty Crops IPM program is to provide ongoing IPM-based training, information, and assistance to producers and retailers of ornamental plants, fruits, pecans, and vegetables, with the ultimate goal of improving pest management, product quality, profitability, and safety for producers and employees. The objectives of the Specialty Crops IPM program for the IPM Implementation and Specialty Crops Priority Area during the project period were to provide technical assistance and troubleshooting to stakeholders, to develop and disseminate educational resources on identification and IPM methods of target pests, and to develop and deliver formal and informal stakeholder trainings on target pests of commercially produced crops. During the project period, the IPM Implementation and Specialty Crops team included plant pathologists Alan Henn and Rebecca Melanson and entomologist Blake Layton. This team was led by Rebecca Melanson. The IPM Implementation and Specialty Crops team annually provided technical assistance and troubleshooting to approximately 900 stakeholders, published and or distributed numerous extension educational resources to producers, and delivered numerous educational programs and presentations throughout Mississippi for specialty crop producers and stakeholders. Illustrated by the images on the slide are examples of some of the MSU Extension publications produced for specialty crops, including herbs, vegetables, small fruits, and pecans during the project period. Extension Implementation Program funds not only provide support for Extension specialist contributions and production of the Southeastern U.S. Vegetable Crop Handbook, but also for the purchase of copies of the books, as well as other regional guides for distribution to commercial producers in Mississippi. These resources are extremely valuable for producers and provide the most up-to-date integrated pest management practices for successful insect and disease management. Without funding support from the Extension Implementation Program, we would not be able to distribute printed copies of these guides to Mississippi's producers. Some of the programs delivered during the project period as a part of the IPM Implementation and Specialty Crops Program were the General Pest Management Workshop, the Vegetable Pest Management in High Tunnels and Greenhouses Program, and the Turf and Ornamental Pest Control Short Course or Webinar. Some of these programs are offered annually or every other year, with some also being delivered in more than one location throughout the state to try to better reach stakeholders. The Public Health Extension Entomology Program at Mississippi State provides expertise, consultation, and training for the prevention and management of human and animal arthropod pests and the diseases they transmit. The primary focus of the Public Health Extension Entomology Program has been directed towards surveillance of public health blood-feeding vectors such as mosquitoes, ticks, fleas, black flies, and bed bugs, documenting their occurrence and seasonality in Mississippi. Appropriate vector control programs require this baseline information. In addition, considerable educational efforts have targeted town and city mosquito spray programs with the goal of reducing or eliminating routine mosquito spraying and switching stakeholders to a more scientific-based mosquito management program. The objectives for the IPM Implementation and Public Health Priority Area were to provide technical assistance and troubleshooting to stakeholders, assess mosquito, tick, black fly, and other arthropod problems and their threats to public health, conduct surveillance of arthropods of medical importance to ascertain baseline data, and deliver targeted educational programming on IPM practices, especially for mosquito control. The Public Health Extension Entomology Program for the IPM Implementation and Public Health Priority Area has been led by medical entomologist Jerome Goddard. The program, during the project period, has provided technical assistance and troubleshooting to numerous stakeholders, set up a system and collected data to establish vector and pest baseline data, instituted a systemic statewide surveillance for mosquitoes and ticks, published peer-reviewed, trade magazine, and extension articles on various public health topics, and delivered educational presentations and conducted trainings throughout Mississippi. Examples of some of those published resources include the peer-reviewed publication, Recovery from Tick Bites, New Insights from a Recent Case Study, and the article Mental and Emotional Toll of Bed Bugs, published in Pest Control magazine. Examples of some of the extension publications produced by the Mississippi State University Extension Service include The Southern House Mosquito and Related Species, Biology and Control, Watch Out for Ticks, and Control Fleas on Your Pet, in Your House, and in Your Yard. One of the educational highlights for IPM implementation in public health has been annual trainings on the topic of pesticide efficacy and safety training for Mississippi mosquito control personnel. These trainings were conducted yearly at the Mississippi Mosquito and Vector Control Association meeting, and presentations to mayors and aldermen at the Mississippi Municipal Association annual meeting were also presented in 2024. The Mississippi State University Pest Diagnostic Program is the program that contributes to the IPM support for Pest Diagnostic Facilities Priority Area. The MSU Pest Diagnostic Program consists of the MSU Plant Diagnostic Lab and the MSU Insect Identification Lab. The MSU Pest Diagnostic Program is the only resource in Mississippi that provides identification of plant diseases, nematodes, and insects impacting commercial agricultural and horticultural commodities, as well as urban horticultural and household pests. The objective of the MSU Pest Diagnostic Program for the IPM support for Pest Diagnostic Facilities Priority Area is to provide pest identification and appropriate integrated pest management-based management recommendations to clients in a timely manner. During the project period, the team for IPM support for pest diagnostic facilities included MSU Extension Plant Diagnostic Laboratory diagnostician Clarissa Balbalian and entomologist Blake Layton. Clarissa Balbalian served as the team leader for this priority area and will provide updates from the MSU Plant Diagnostic Lab over the next few slides. In addition to the plant disease and nematode diagnostic samples she discusses, approximately 200 insect samples were diagnosed annually with management recommendations provided to clients.
Hello, I'm Clarissa Balbalian, presenting the IPM and Diagnostics Priority Program area for 2021 through 2024. The Plant Diagnostic Lab diagnosed and provided management recommendations for 2,000 plant disease samples and 8,500 nematode samples for clients in Mississippi and 24 other states. The majority of plant disease samples are from residential clients, with the remaining 43% being commercial turf and ornamental or agronomic clients. Conversely, the majority of nematode clients are commercial agronomic crop producers or commercial turf and ornamentals. 1% of the nematode clients are residential. Over 9,500 person-to-person consultations in the field, lab, or by phone or email were conducted over the course of the 3-year project. This impacted over 18,000 individuals. These events included site visits to evaluate plant problems throughout Mississippi in both commercial and residential settings, lab tours, and demonstrations designed to educate extension personnel, state regulatory personnel, and the general public. On-site consultations often provide the opportunity to educate clients on abiotic problems and the importance of proper site preparation and planting practices, which prevents the unnecessary and expensive use of pesticides. Lab tours and demonstrations educated about 50 extension agents and 20 state regulatory personnel on good sampling practices, as well as IPM, and enabled them to spread IPM knowledge in their communities. 14 presentations were given to a variety of audiences, including extension personnel, garden clubs, turfgrass professionals, professional arborists, master gardeners, state regulatory agents, and a few visiting international scientists. 2 posters were presented at producer advisory councils on lab services and the importance of using diagnostic testing to inform agricultural management decisions. I also co-authored a publication on herbicide damage in tomatoes.
Information on pest identification and integrated pest management in the various priority areas for this project was distributed to stakeholders and communities of interest through various methods. These included one-on-one interactions with stakeholders in person or by email, text, mail, or phone, presentations delivered virtually or in person at various programs or group events, electronic newsletters, pest alerts, blog posts, social media posts, and podcasts, and extension publications made available in print and electronically on the Mississippi State University Extension website. Each year, approximately 13 peer-reviewed journal articles and 30 technical or extension publications were produced from Extension Implementation Program efforts, and approximately 100 presentations were delivered by Extension Implementation Program team members across the priority areas. On average, approximately 104,000 people were reached each year during the project period. The target audience varied according to the priority area, but included crop producers and consultants, commodity associations, home and master gardeners, garden centers, pest control professionals, greenhouse and nursery producers and retailers, the general public, healthcare providers and medical groups, municipal and county mosquito control personnel, private pest control professionals, commercial livestock and poultry producers, backyard poultry producers, golf courses, public landscape managers, municipalities, and agricultural and extension professionals. The activities by the various teams within the Extension Implementation Program led to changes in stakeholder knowledge and behavior. Stakeholders not only increased their knowledge of IPM in the target priority areas, but also became more knowledgeable and capable of recognizing pest issues, and as a result, were better prepared to manage those issues. The overall result is reduced pest issues, quicker implementation and use of more effective integrated pest management methods by stakeholders, improved success in crop production, and decreased costs for Mississippi stakeholders. The activities described and the stakeholders reached as a part of the various programs within the Extension Implementation Program priority areas would not have been possible without the funding support provided to Mississippi State University from the USDA NIFA Crop Protection and Pest Management Extension Implementation Program. On behalf of the entire team, thank you for your support.